Hello, credit union executives. Welcome to See You on the Show, where we give you up to date information on how you can reduce risk, keep key talent, and take a strategic approach to your personal financial wellness. Hosted by me, Doug English, a certified financial planner and former credit union insider with ACT Advisors. Todd Spazinski, welcome back to See You on the Show. We're glad to have you here again to talk about GAC Preview 2025, why you and your credit union team need to be at GAC.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate the invite. Really excited to share what's going on with GAC 2025. It feels like just yesterday you and I were chatting about GAC, but really it was a year ago. GAC is one of those events that always feels like a little bit of a credit union homecoming and family gathering, and we're going to have more friends and family than we've ever had before. So
well, let's start right out. Tell us about that. What are the numbers for GAC 2025 looking like so far?
Numbers are fantastic. The credit union attendance numbers are way up from previous years. Last year was a record year. We had well over 3,000 credit union attendees. We're 500 plus ahead of that pace already last year. So we're probably looking 3,500 to 4,000 credit union attendees. When you throw in all of the vendor attendees, we're going to be well over 6,000 people in Washington, D.C. So we're really excited about that. And then additionally, I mentioned our vendor attendees. Exhibit hall is completely sold out. We've got every spot, every space you can possibly imagine. So attendees are going to get a great experience, not only from what we're putting on from a thought leadership and keynote presentation standpoint, but also from our vendor partners that are going to be in that exhibit hall sharing a lot of tools that can help credit unions continue to grow and evolve.
Yeah, I enjoyed going into the cyber truck that was in the middle of the expo last year. That was the first time I'd gotten close to one of those, and I decided conclusively I do not want one of those.
Well, there'll be more and more of those types of experiences in the 2025 GAC exhibit hall. That's for sure.
So what do you think's behind the increase in attendance? And then what would you say is the suggested reason that we need to bring the industry out for GAC this year?
Good question. You know, we do a lot of analysis. We do focus groups at GAC, trying to make sure that the program is constantly evolving and growing to meet what our member expectation and member needs are. And last year we kind of attributed the growth in GAC attendance to, we had just merged into this new association. There was some curiosity. There were a lot of folks that maybe had never gone to a GAC before. And it's like, holy cow, we've doubled up. They must have told all their friends, Doug, because we're so far ahead of pace than where we've been historically. I think the biggest driver, though, goes back to the reason that credit unions join America's Credit Unions as their trade association, and it's advocacy. There's obviously a heightened awareness around the potential of credit unions being on a taxation list and that tax exempt status that is critical to how we're better serve consumers in our communities. And there's a heightened awareness around that. So I think it's this combination of, hey, we're a new trade association. We put on a great show in 24, so we had a lot of new people tell their friends, combined with the critical call out, don't tax my credit union, and telling our story to the new members of Congress that we're going to be able to visit with while we're there in DC.
Yeah, advocacy is the number one reason that you need to be at GAC. Now, are there specific guidelines that America's Credit Unions provides for hill hikers, for things that you might want to do different this year, or particular messages that you make sure to get across? Is there a resource for those things that credit unions might not be aware of?
We have multiple resources, but let me just highlight a few. First of all, our state leagues are extremely critical and strong partners to putting on this national governmental affairs conference. I like to say we get to be the host, but we do this in collaboration with all of the leagues around the country, and they help orchestrate and coordinate all of the hill hikes for their respective states with their members of Congress. So they're always an important and critical resource for any of our attendees to understand what their state league or what their respective league is talking about as far as briefings, briefing notes. In addition, we create a briefing book, if you will. It's not really, used to be a book. Now it's on our app and it's electronic and digital, and people have the ability to use that. So they get our high level and national talking points as well. So between the two, they have extremely strong resources on what they can talk about and how they should say things. And additionally, we have multiple breakout sessions and education sessions about critical talking points as well. So depending on what your learning style and how you best absorb all of this, you have individual contacts with your league and your lobbyists, you have the education format, and then you have it within your mobile app to be able to go and scroll through.
Excellent. You got it every way you could want it. So what's besides GAC being bigger this year, how else is it going to be different? What are we going to see that we haven't seen before, and what will be the same?
As I mentioned earlier, like we do this, we're constantly trying to evolve the program, yet at the same time, the foundation of GAC is so critically important. So we're not making changes for the sake of making changes. They want to be based on what our members are looking for, what are some critical things we should be talking about. So a couple things I would highlight. Obviously, all new keynoters, all new breakout sessions. We have a new app. I mentioned the app earlier. We have a new app that not only will have that briefing book on it, will have all the programming in it, but it'll also give people the ability to maybe customize their own GAC experience, if you will. So they can better identify, hey, is this breakout session for me? Should I be going to this event or that event? So that ability is brand new and kind of an evolution of our app from previous years. As I said, we have more people than ever before. Where we can house all of these people is kind of a big deal when they're on site at the convention center. So we've expanded some of our breakout session rooms. Those are typically as popular as the general sessions. So some of these get standing room only. So we're doing a couple of different things. We're our welcome center and where folks come in to register at the convention center. We'll have several rooms down there that now will become breakout rooms. So we'll be more compacted, at least from a walking around the convention center. So it should be a little bit easier on folks, but those rooms are also larger. So then we should be able to get more people in those breakout sessions room. The other thing I would call out is within our welcome center, we call it our welcome center. It's where people go to register, but they can also go in there to kind of recharge and relax. There's a lot going on at our GAC. In fact, there's so much going on that usually the number one issue people have is there's too much going on. So we build within the confines of the convention center places where people can kind of recharge, take a break. So we'll have these relax and recharge stations within that welcome center. Also down there, there'll be these plug-in stations. So if, hey, you get called out because, work is still going on back at your credit union, you have a place you can kind of plug in, get away from everything going on at GAC, stay close to what's going on, but have enough of that kind of privacy to get some work done if you need to step away for a minute. So those are some kind of the highlights of some of the newer things that are happening.
A second ago, you also mentioned the general session speakers, and I know you have some breaking news for us. Let's hold that for the end, Todd. But tell us a little bit about the general session speakers.
Doug, you and I have done this a couple of times now. I say this, I feel like every year, but our lineup is absolutely fantastic once again. From the keynote stage standpoint. So we're going to have Jim Nessel, our CEO, and we'll have the new NCUA chair, Kyle Hauptman, on stage, and members of Congress. That's the traditional part that we continue to evolve and people want to hear. But from a keynote session standpoint, we're bringing in on Sunday night, sponsored by our councils, Will Guidara, who has wrote a best-selling book called Unreasonable Hospitality. If you haven't read it, absolutely must read. Probably one of the best business books I've ever read. In fact, within our own organization, our entire staff and team are reading that now. It's a fantastic book, and it really talks about what you can do on an everyday basis to extend this member service, this customer service to credit unions, and how you can do that in a creative and unique way that make them feel special. We're a very unique industry, member-owned industry, and always rank really high on this customer service piece of this. What Will's going to come in and do is kind of share his story about how he did this in the restaurant business, and then how we translate into things that we can do maybe differently and evolve our own service experience to help create even a better member experience for credit unions. He's on day one. He's going to hit it absolutely out of the park. Show up on Sunday night. You're not going to regret doing so. Monday, we have Carla Harris. Carla is everything, man. She is going to be awesome. She's dynamite. She's known for kind of her fearless approach and strategic insights. She's a partner at Morgan Stanley. She talks really more about your own individual strengths and how you can leverage those to lead to better outcomes for yourself. So Will's going to talk more service. Carla's going to talk more about what you can do individually. And then on Tuesday, Coach K, love him or hate him, as I've learned. If Duke has beaten your team while Coach K was coach, I'm a big Wisconsin Badger fan. He beat my Wisconsin Badgers in the national championship game in 2015. I'm still bitter. I'm slightly over it, but he's going to hear about it from me. Let me tell you. Coach K is fantastic. If you've seen anything about him, he's had a storied career. But the big thing about him is, how do you lead your team and what you can do to continue share your vision and fulfill your strategic vision through the power of your team. And so he's going to focus on that. And then last but not least, which is breaking news, we just finalized Stacy Hunke, who's a communication expert and a Hall of Fame speaker, as our closing speaker on Wednesday morning. And the way I describe this, Doug, is people are going to hear all about Will's story and Carla's story and Coach K's story. And what Stacy's going to do is help us better tell our own story, and how we can do that, how we elevate our influence as credit union professionals, as credit union board of directors, to tell our story to those lawmakers on Capitol Hill. So a great way to close out the session, but the lineup is going to be fantastic. And my last piece in the general session, get there early because it is a jam-packed show.
Get early and be willing to stand. Wow. Wow. Boy, your conference services team has done it again. It sounds like it's going to be a great GAC, an important event for the entire industry to attend and to get those hill hikes to make sure they don't tax our credit unions.
That's right.
And to learn how to continue to serve your membership. So credit union leaders, thank you for tuning into the episode today. Join us at GAC, and thank you for your leadership in the credit union movement. And thank you, Todd, for joining me again this year.
Great to see you again, Doug. Appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to seeing you all in DC. Take care.
Thank you. That's all the insider credit union knowledge we have for this episode. Are you enjoying the conversation? Be sure to subscribe and share your thoughts with other credit union leaders by leaving us a review. See you next time on See You on the Show.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. Indexes are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly.